Hey guys, and welcome on into the NHL 2025 playoff preview show. I'm Terry Edelman at TE Picks, joined by Nicholas Earl at Earl Sports Bets on my left, and Franco the Banker on my right. And we are going to break down the first round of the playoffs. I'll give you guys a chance to plug your things at the end, but we'll get to that at the end of the show. But we're just going to jump right into it here and start with the first series. And how we're going to do this here, this first segment, Nick is going to start first. Then the next series, I'll start first, and then we'll switch. So we'll have different people talking first at different times. So with that, Nick, St. Louis Blues, Winnipeg Jets. I know the Blues have been, you're wearing their jersey right now, but I know they've been a very good team to you in the second half of the season. What do you think about their first round series here against Winnipeg?
I think they're very live, and I did grab plus 185 over on Bet365 this morning. I made 7 bets so far for the series winners. The only one I haven't bet so far is Canes Devils, and that's just a price thing for me because I don't really want to lay minus 1.5 at the Canes, but we'll get in a little bit. So I do have plays on every other series though, and I did grab the Blues at plus 185. I think they're a very live dog in this series, or with the Winnipeg Jets where the regular seasons, and then at the end, Hellebuck gets run down and overused, crap in the playoffs. And I can see the Blues as a team that's getting hot at the right time. They just had that really nice winning streak. And I mean, just think about it. A little while ago, I think it was a little over a month ago, they were just 11-1 to make the playoffs, and they went on that big run. And I think that we can continue to see that here. A couple of things we got to keep an eye out for is Dylan Holloway back, but that's the only injury that we're really worried about on the St. Louis Blues side is Dylan Holloway. And if I remember right there, I think there's a couple that we have to keep an eye on the Winnipeg side. I have to take a look at the injury reports for the Winnipeg Jets, but I do think that they could be missing a few players, multiple inches. And at this number, I have no problem fading the playoff Jets until they prove to me that they can actually win a series, which we've seen them kind of struggle the last few years. I think the St. Louis Blues are very live in this series, and at plus 185, I took a shot with them here.
Interesting. All right. For me here with this one, looking at the regular season, of course, playoffs and regular season are two different animals. We're definitely going to discuss that. But the Blues had some trouble with Winnipeg in the regular season. Winnipeg going 3-1 in the 4 regular season games. Heading into the playoffs, Nick is right. The Blues had that huge win streak that got them into the playoffs. But they did lose 3 of their last 4 heading into the playoffs. That 6-1 win against Utah, their last game. Utah on the second night of a back-to-back in a very bad spot there. But the Blues had lost against Seattle, Edmonton, and this Winnipeg team in their previous 3 games on the road heading into the playoffs. And then the Jets finished the season as they've basically played the entire season. They won 4 of their last 5 there. 4 of their last 5. A loss against Edmonton, but 4 wins otherwise. So the Jets coming into the playoffs playing pretty well right now, but Nick is right. Hellebuck has not been the same goaltender in the playoffs, especially last year against Colorado. He really did get smashed. So I'm not sure about this series here. I could see, and when I'm looking at playoff futures here for the first round, I'm really going to be focusing in on these correct scores, which are at the bottom here. So my prediction here for this series right now, I think Winnipeg does win it. I think Winnipeg wins 4-2 or 4-3. So if I was going to be pulling the trigger on something here, I'd be going a small play on Winnipeg 4-2 and a small play on Winnipeg 4-3, plus 380, plus 410. Much better prices than the minus 225, obviously, to win the series. Even minus 1.5 is minus 105. So that being said, though, I'm not pulling the trigger on it because this Blues team did really show something down the stretch. And I could see them upsetting the Jets. So this series, not one that I'm getting to, but I do think Winnipeg wins 4-2 or 4-3. Franco, Nick likes the Blues. I lean with the Jets. What do you think here in this series?
Oh, I get to be the tiebreaker. This is fun. So I'm actually leaning with the Blues as well. Gonna grab that plus 184, and I don't mind if you want to be a little bit safer. The plus 1.5 at minus 115 feels like a really nice price. If you want to go a little bit safer, this game, if it goes to 7, you're good to go. So a couple of reasons for me, at least, is I think the injuries are going to favor the Blues a little bit more here. Obviously, we don't know the stats of Holloway at this point. For the most part, seems pretty negative, at least the stuff I saw about a week ago. I don't know if anything's changed. He's obviously going to push as much as he can to play. But Velarde just skated for the first time the other day. So I'm not expecting him to be ready to go by, this game coming up in a day or two. Best case is game 2, game 3, maybe we're going to see him. So I think that's a big loss for the Jets. That's kind of going under appreciated here. He's really one of their top, as much as Kyle Connor and Scheifele are fantastic. Velarde adds the extra element. I follow be on the top line. I don't like it as much. And then Nikolai Ehlers had that issue as well, where they said that he actually re-injured his previous injury with that collision with the ref. So he's actually listed as week to week right now, which is brutal. I mean, that means we're likely not seeing him at all this series. So that's 2 goal scorers for this team out on a team that already kind of struggles, for the most part offensively. They're not like an offensive juggernaut. Kyle Connor's a hell of a player, but as far as being a goal scorer, but I think losing 2 players like that is massive. And if Holloway does make it back in game 2, game 3, the Blues are pretty much fully healthy. Parayko came back. He played a game or 2, which is massive for their blue line. I feel like their blue line's going underappreciated as well, as much as I know Terry is a hater on Ryan Suter. He's at least playing third line minutes now on this team. I feel like the rest of the depth is fantastic here. So they can kind of shelter Suter in the role that they have him in right now. And I just think the depth of the Blues is great. Hold on a second. So
hey, it's all good. It's a holiday. Happy Easter to everybody. So family stuff is going on, but
bad duty today for me. But yeah, so anyway, with all that being said, and I think the biggest issue here for Winnipeg is besides Colorado, this is probably the second least team that they wanted to face. I mean, the Blues have been red hot. They've been playing playoff hockey for weeks now at this point. This is the type of team that no one wants to play in the first round, especially. Like, I don't care if you won the President Trophy, you're the best team in the league. You're going against a team that's red hot and that's feeling good. You obviously have the questions in net with Hellebuck's playoff performance in the past. Now, you will see what happens this year. But Binnington's done it before as well. He looked fantastic in the 4 Nations as well. Outdueled Hellebuck in that game for the trophy. So I just think all those things are just enough to build up a case against the Jets, as much as an argument could be made for them, being the best team in the league and should be favored, I guess, to an extent here.
Awesome. Isaac says Devils upset, and says the Wild win that series. We'll obviously get to that series later on. Brett says, let's go, fellas. Let's go. Tommy said, welcome to the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. I know, I'm so excited. Earl's mic / connection keeps cutting out. Yes, he's having some issues there, but working through it. Regular season versus playoffs, apples and oranges. That's true. Goaltending and special teams. Yes. Terry, I'm so confused. I thought you were quit, so happy to see you back. I'm taking a break from video content. I haven't necessarily quit, but yes. Wanted to do a playoff preview show. People wanted to see it. So, which team has power play, penalty kill, goaltending advantage in this series or overall? We'll talk per series. Salute, Terry. Hey, Kev. If the Jets don't win, I'll be shocked. Matthew says Jets in 4 or 5. St. Louis minus 1.5 to cover the series is minus 115. I think you mean plus 1.5. Plus 1.5. St. Louis minus 1.5 is plus 310. The save play is always the kiss of death. That's true. Yep. Lean Blues in series game 7. Okay, that's plus 650. Jets in 6, also plus 650. So that's kind of interesting there. Blues 4-2, Blues 4-3. Sorry, are the same price there. This is a great matchup without Ehlers. These two teams match up evenly. And the odds don't agree with that. The odds don't think these teams match up. So we'll see what happens there. Sens, Habs, Oilers all gone in the first round. All right. We will definitely get to those series. No. Number 2, I don't want to say the best series of the playoffs, but I think this is going to be one hell of a series to watch. Colorado and Dallas. I will start first here with this one. And Jason Robertson, obviously getting hurt in the final game of the season is a big loss for this Dallas Stars team. I am not 100% sure on his status here. He left with a brace, so listed as day-to-day, but his status is kind of unknown here. Landeskog will likely be making his return here for game 1, I would assume. But looked good in the AHL in the game or two that he played there. And now is returning for this Avalanche team. That's a huge boost for the Avs. And despite Dallas getting home ice, we see Colorado as the favorite here in this series, around minus 152. The odds here on the screen are mostly done at FanDuel. Of course, they took a game off the board when I was in the middle of doing it. So I did use some odds for Bet365, but most odds are from FanDuel here for show purposes. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one. And, I think this game goes 6 or 7. I think this series goes 6 or 7. Honestly, I would be kind of looking at Colorado 4-2 plus 380. But then I'd also be looking at Dallas 4-3 at plus 500. I think if this series goes 7, I think Dallas wins. Otherwise, I think Colorado most likely wins either 4-1, 4-2. So I like the 4-2 plus 380 for Colorado. And I lean with the Stars 4-3 at plus 500. I think this is going to be an incredibly close series, and I intend on betting the draw in probably every game in this series. Now, we'll have to see how that goes, but for game 1, I'm going to be on the draw here in Dallas. The Stars did not enter the playoffs playing well, losing 5 in a row, giving up 4 or more in all 5. The Avs 2-2 entering the playoffs. So obviously, you can't. When you look at how teams are entering the playoffs, you do have to remember that a lot of these teams rested players in the final 2 games. So you have to take it with a grain of salt how the teams are doing heading into the playoffs. But I think this is a close series. So I think. Maybe even Colorado 4-3 as well. I do think this series goes 7. I'm not sure what the odds for this series to go 7 is, but the price is definitely better to go with the 4-3 prices here. Franco will go to you second in this series. Colorado and Dallas. Do you think this is going to be like the best series to watch in the playoffs? And who do you think wins this one?
So I'm hoping that we get healthy Dallas at some point in the series. I'm not expecting it game 1. I just saw the report from about an hour ago. Robertson is going to be is not on the ice this morning, so we'll see what that means. But I mean, this game's tomorrow, so he's not playing this first game for sure. Hopefully that's not going to be long term, but we don't know at this point. That's a big loss for them. Obviously, they're going to have somebody step up. They have plenty of depth, so I mean, that's not really that big of a worry. But still, you take a player off, that's pretty big. Colorado's pretty darn healthy coming in. I already have Stars futures, so I don't want to kind of bet anything else here as far as a side. I kind of lean Colorado now at this point, just given no Heiskanen most likely for the series, not until like probably towards the end if it gets that far. And I think that's really massive. I think this blue line looks really bad right now on paper, at least. I got Labushkin playing big minutes. He should be more of a sheltered guy. So they're going to have issues, especially with Colorado's speed. Dallas was top 3 in the PK on the season, so that's massive for them. So hopefully they can shut down the Colorado power play, which is, a big thing in the playoffs, obviously. I don't mind if you want to go. You can grab like a 6 and 7 games for the series. Just take both of them at plus 190 each. You're going to have a profit if you think it goes at least 6. I don't mind doing something like that. The only bets I'm taking for the series, though, are 2 player props for goals. Makar at 2 goals and Duchesne at 2 goals. Makar's at minus 105. Duchesne's plus 130. Just given their form against the respective teams, Makar has 5 goals in his last 5 games against them, which is just insane for a defenseman. And then Duchesne, we know he is a former Av and loves to kind of play well, play up to them. He also had a fantastic season, 30 goals this year. Duchesne, 14 goals in 19 games total against Colorado in his career, 3 goals in his last 4 against them. So I think plus 130 for him to get 2 in the series is a fantastic price. So that's kind of my pivot off of a side or total games is those 2 player looks.
I will be honest, I haven't even looked into there's so much to look into, but yes, I will be posting some player futures probably tomorrow because I'm gonna have to spend some hours deep diving into that. But yeah, great looks there, Franco. I like that. Nick, Colorado, Dallas. Now, I know who you're picking in this series. I know who you like in this series, but what do you think here, Avalanche and Stars?
Yeah, I'm obviously going to pick the Avalanche because I think the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup this year. I have futures on them to win the West. I have them win the Cup. I think that the winner of this series can very well be representing the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup Finals this year. I love the way this Colorado team is built down the middle. I mean, when you have McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle, and Drury down the middle, I love their center depth, and they are completely. The only other than Gabriel Landeskog that has an injury designation on daily faceoff is Tucker Poolman. Who cares? He's a depth defenseman at best. So this is a full, healthy, ready to go Colorado Avalanche team against what is a beat up Dallas team that's not looked good down the stretch. And I thought when I made my futures on Colorado, I thought this series was going to be a toss up. And that was with both teams fully healthy. And now with seeing the way the Dallas Stars are entering into this series, I did get, and it was only because I was able to get it on DraftKings at the price I did. I laid 140 with the Avalanche. That's the most I laid on a series future out of all of them was 140. I don't love it, the price, especially when you could have gotten close to a pick 'em not too long ago. But I think this is a Colorado team that takes care of business. I like Colorado in 6. And I forgot to mention last series, I like the Blues in 6 as well. Which is plus 650. I like the Avalanche plus 380 in 6 games because I think it'll be kind of difficult if we get to a game 7 for them to go into Dallas and win. I'd be very nervous if that was the case. But I kind of like Colorado in 6 in this series. And I think that current form and injuries and everything along those lines, Colorado is not only the better team, I think they're a significantly better team than the Dallas Stars at the moment. Now, if the Stars get fully healthy, then we're talking a closer, more competitive series. But with the rosters the way they are right now, I'll be on the Avalanche, probably on the -1 line tomorrow.
All right. So me and Nick kind of agree, Colorado 4-2. But I think Dallas does have a shot. Like I said, if it goes 7, I like Dallas. Otherwise, I think Colorado gets the job done before game 7. But Irish King likes Jets in 6. Isaac says Avs in 4.
Not 4. I see Dallas getting 2.
The West will be the best hockey to watch. I can agree with that.
I agree with
Avs
that.
in 6. Lanch. The Lanch. Stars are in very bad form. Yeah, they haven't looked good.
Yes, they are.
Haven't looked good. Terry Nader, missed the videos, man. Thank you, Mr. Sloth. Nice to see you. Colorado will win all of their home games. That's fair. Avs versus Tampa Bay Stanley Cup final, says Irish King.
Yes.
Timothy likes the Avalanche as well. All right, so everyone likes the Avs. Nobody really. Obviously, Franco has futures on Dallas, and I was looking at pulling the trigger on Dallas around the trade deadline, but I wanted to see how things played out before I locked in any futures. So I will be honest, I have not locked in any futures. So I have no official plays. This is more of kind of like a think tank for me to kind of think things through with everybody. But we're going to move on along to our next series. The Devils and the Hurricanes here for this one. And Franco, you get to start. Two teams in your division, obviously a Flyers fan. So two division rivals here going at it, and the Devils and the Canes. What do you think happens here in this series?
This one feels pretty straightforward to me. Maybe I'm square. I don't know. But I think Canes in the -1.5. I grabbed -115 on that. A little bit better of a price than the -128. I feel like that's a nice price, nice number. I just don't think Jersey has enough to beat this team. I don't necessarily love the Canes like long term throughout the playoffs, but I think this is one of those matchups where just Jersey doesn't have enough. The only argument I can make towards Jersey potentially making this interesting is if the Carolina has like a goalie, controversy, we'll call it, right? If Anderson starts game one and doesn't really look too good, then there's going to be all those questions. Should they start Kochetkov in game two or whatever? But yeah, as long as they get decent goaltending, I think it should be a pretty quick series. So I'm taking Canes -1.5 here, and I think that's a pretty good price.
Awesome. Nick, Devils and Canes, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm somebody who, before the Hughes injury and everything along those lines, a couple months ago, the Devils were the first team that I took a future on to win the East and win the Cup. I've given up on those by all stretch of the imaginations. I would only look at Carolina, and that was my prediction for the series. Just looking at the way these two teams are, it feels like the same thing every year for Carolina. They get a team that they definitely overmatch in the first round. They take care of business, and then when they get to the better competition, that's when they fall. Now, I don't think that'll happen until the Eastern Conference Finals this year, so I do have Carolina goal rounds. There's I haven't bet yet because I did not want to lay -280 on them to win the series, or -1.5 for them to win to cover the win 4-2. For me, the only way I can approach this is maybe I'll grab some Carolina if they drop the first game at a better price. That would be the way I would want to approach this series. But I think they're just too expensive for me to go ahead and bet right now, like on a -1.5 or anything like that. If you like another favorite, I don't really have another favorite that big on the card. Maybe if the Avalanche have gotten too expensive for you, you can tag along a natural disaster two-teamer, Hurricanes Avalanche. Maybe that's a way you can do it there at a probably not a bad price. But for me, I just think Carolina is too expensive to back straight up at the moment. And I really don't want to lay this type of number for -1.5 games in a series.
Interesting. My thoughts here. Yeah, this series, the way it's priced, it's difficult for me to want to pull the trigger on anything in this one. I think the Devils, if New Jersey has a chance in this series, it has to be Markstrom. Markstrom has to just stand on his head here. And if he can do that, like Franco said, kind of a goalie controversy maybe with the Canes, I could see the Devils upsetting in this series. Upsets happen. I could see the Devils winning in this series, but that's if Markstrom stands on his head. But we have seen Markstrom struggle in the second half of the season at times as well. So I don't trust him to stand on his head here in this series. But there's nothing I could get to here. I could see Carolina winning this 4-1, but I could also maybe see it going 4-2 or 4-3 or even 4-0. And then, as I said, the Devils, this series is just a wild card, I think, here for this one. A lot of people love the Canes, and I can see why, but I just don't want to pull the trigger on anything here in this series. But Carolina probably does win. Has anyone liked Dallas? Wait,
3.
Sorry.
I think Carolina wins in 5, and I think if New Jersey wins the game, it's game 3, down 2-0 at home.
All right. Has anyone liked Dallas? Wait till they lose first in Colorado and get a better price, or twice.
They started Dallas, so that's the problem.
If anyone, yeah. Well, I think he means like wait till the Colorado series, like wait till they go to Colorado and see what the series looks like at that time.
Just a heads up, guys. Robertson lists as week to week. Just broke right now.
Week to week.
Week to week. So, yeah.
That's tough. But the Stars do have a lot of depth. The Stars do have depth. Canes in 5. I could see that. Carolina goalie controversy would mean neither goalie is functioning per design specifications. Okay. Would be funny if the Devils win. We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, as a Carolina hater, I love it.
There you go. No love for Jake Allen, the vet. Well,
Allen's been pretty damn good, so like you could see that argument the other way too. There could be a controversy in New Jersey if Markstrom doesn't look great, but I feel like they paid him. They paid him that money. They paid him all that money. I feel like you gotta play him in this situation.
Yeah, if Jake Allen's in the net, then the Canes are winning this 4-0 or 4-1. If he's in the net, it's because they pulled Markstrom for playing so bad, or or other things. But and there go the Colorado prices. LOL.
Yeah. I don't mind taking Colorado game 1 -130. Not a bad price. It's tough because it's in Dallas, but
yeah, I probably should move on that now sooner rather than later, right?
Yep. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, if you like Colorado futures or stuff in game 1, yeah, get that in now. But I'm sure the books kind of already have it somewhat priced with Robertson not playing, but we'll have to see there. The next series. Oh, and lucky Nick gets to start with this. Oh, and then I get to start with the next one. That works out well. Nick gets to start with this series, the Battle of Ontario. The Ottawa Senators, the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. And this Ottawa Senators team, a team that's been really trying to make the playoffs for quite a few years now. They're finally in, and they get to face their biggest rival in the Battle of Ontario. Sens a dog, Leafs the favorite. Nick, what do you think about this series?
Yeah, and I think the Ottawa Senators are the most dangerous type of team out there. The one with nothing to lose. They finally crack into the playoffs here. They have, I mean, they're playing their biggest rival, team that is well known for needing Dr. Heimlich in the playoffs because they keep choking. So we have a team with nothing to play for, or not nothing to play for, a team that's playing with like house money right now because I don't know if they were really supposed to make the playoffs this year, the Senators. And we have a Toronto team where we've seen it with this core. Come playoff time, when the games mean the most, they tend to grip their sticks a little bit too tight, and we've seen them come up short time and time again. So, who's ready for the annual tradition of fading the Leafs in the playoffs? I've been doing this for years now, and it's done nothing but print me money. And until proven otherwise, I'm going to keep doing it, especially at +1. I think I got 155 for this one here over on BetMGM this morning. Give me Ottawa. And one thing that I think we can look at with Ottawa that there's a major edge for them over the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have a goaltender, I think, that can go on the road and steal them a hockey game in Linus Ullmark, a Vezina Trophy winner a couple years ago. I think Ullmark has a massive goalie advantage over whoever they want to put in net, whether it's Anthony Stolarz or it's Joseph Woll for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think that's a pretty significant edge there. And at a +155, +160 price tag with this Ottawa Senators team with nothing, playing with house money versus a Leafs team that, you know, the media is going to be up their ass the entire time. Every single time they make a wrong move or a bad pass or anything like that, they're going to get criticized to the nth degree. And we see this year and year and year again until they can prove to me they can win a playoff series and win a couple playoff series in the playoffs. I have no problem taking shots, especially with dogs, against the Toronto Maple Leafs here. So yes, I'm on the Ottawa Senators to win the series, plus 155. And we all know how this exactly is going to end. The Maple Leafs are going to lose another game 7. Give me Ottawa 4-3 at 6-1. That's going to be probably my exact score for this one here. Ottawa in 7, because we know how the Leafs go. And if the NHL keeps giving us the script for Toronto Maple Leafs playoff series every single year, I'm just going to follow it this year. So Ottawa Senators in 7 games for me.
All right. Now, I'd like to start off with, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Nick. Oh, my God. When it comes to Ottawa winning this series. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are not going to lose forever. They have won a couple series in the last 10 years, right? They've won, one series? Okay.
One series against
Lightning. I thought it was two. But the Leafs, like the Wild, who we'll talk about in the next series, have really struggled in the playoffs. But when I look at the series, the Leafs have been a very hot team down the stretch. 52, 26-4 in the season. They had a great regular season. The Maple Leafs obviously winning the division. And they are in a good spot here, home ice. Now, the issue, though, is the team that they're facing. If Toronto was facing someone else, I would be more interested in taking the Leafs. But this Senators team, they swept the Leafs this year, 3-0, 2-1, 4-2. The Sens have won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these teams. Obviously, they swept Toronto this year, and then they won 3 of 4 last year against the Leafs. So the Leafs have really struggled with the Senators, and now they have to face the Senators in the playoffs, where the Leafs have struggled. I will be pulling the trigger here on Ottawa to win this series. And I can see why Nick's taking the 4-3, but I think it's 4-2. I think the Senators win this 4-2 this series. So I'll be pulling the trigger on Ottawa to win this series and a small play on Ottawa 4-2 in this series. This is just a bad matchup for the Leafs. This is just a team that they have struggled against, and I think if they were facing somebody else in this first round, I think they would have a better shot. But I think the dog wins here in the Battle of Ontario. Franco, Is this a clean sweep? Are we all on the dog here, or are you going to take the Toronto Maple Leafs to win? What do you think?
It's funny because I thought I was going to be the only one, but of course that's not going to be the case. So yeah, I'm leaning Sens here. My main bet here is 6 games and 7 games. I'm taking both at plus 210 each, and I'm going to lock that in for guarantee profit. But I lean Sens.
All right.
That's where I'm going to.
Awesome. We all like the Sens. Interesting. Colorado, same game parlay, money line, and anytime goal. Okay. Was it Keefe? Was it Matthews? We shall find out after round 1. Okay. Leafs first, Ollie round 1 again, but Sens form. Leafs are winning the cup. All right, Isaacs. Come on now. Great cap summary, Nick. Leafs love to look dangerous on paper and then disappoint. I like the Berube effect for the Leafs. That is true. They have a much better coach, I think, when it comes to playoff, to winning in the playoffs, I think, versus Keefe. Nick and Terry agree. Interesting when that happens. Yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but I also like Leafs to win in the closer games, and the line tells us it's an under. And activate trap card. LOL. Just kidding. Good luck, Isaacs. Good luck with the Leafs. Good luck with the Leafs. They are huge. They are big favorites here, and they do have a lot going against them here in this series. But the next series that we're talking about is, and for anyone wondering what the order we're going here, we're going by order in the games which they're being played. So it's not conference. we're going the order in which the games are being played. So this is obviously Sunday night. The Wild plus 190 in this series. Vegas minus 235 in this series. And I would love to come on here and tell you guys that this is it. This is the year. The Wild are going to do it. They're going to win a playoff series. But I can't do that here in this one. Now, what I will say is I think this is going to be a close series. I don't think it's going to be a blowout series. And this Wild team, for 6 of their last 8 games, went to overtime heading into the playoffs. So for whatever reason, this Wild team has been an overtime team. But like we talked about in the last series, the Vegas Golden Knights really had the Wild's number in recent years. Allow me a second to bring it up here. Vegas has won 8 of the last 9 meetings between the teams. So really, and they did sweep the Wild this year, 3-2, 4-1, and 5-1. So Vegas has been a tough team for the Wild to beat. The Wild, kind of like the Leafs, have really struggled in the playoffs. Now, I do think the Wild have been cap stripped with $14 million going to Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, obviously cap hit wise. So that has really hurt the Wild. Next year, that likely changes. I think next year the Wild finally win a playoff series. My play here would be Vegas 4-1 or Vegas 4-2 here in this one. The Wild, historically, and I will tell you, I will be on the Wild in Game 3 in Minnesota. The Wild, for whatever reason, dominate Game 3s. So the Wild don't win playoff series, and everyone gives me shit about that the Wild can't win a playoff series. But all I can say is the Wild dominate Game 3s, so at least I have that. So I'll be taking the Wild in Game 3 at home. If they can steal Game 4, then maybe this series could go 6 or 7. But Vegas won't sweep. I think Vegas 4-1, Vegas 4-2. Maybe the Wild do it and just surprise me and finally win a series. But when it comes to capping this series, as not a fan and as a capper, 4-1 Vegas or 4-2 Vegas, in my opinion. Franco, we'll go to you second here in this one. The Wild and the Golden Knights. Am I going to finally get to see a playoff win or playoff series win for my Wild, or am I going to be heartbroken once again? What do you think?
I actually lean with the Wild here. I'm surprised how down on them you are. But I know you're a realist. You're not just a homer. So it's interesting to see you think that they're going to take it in 5 or 6 games, Vegas. So I think there's a little bit of value on Minnesota. You're getting back 2 massive pieces, right? In Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek. And, Brodin missed a ton this season too. I think this team being as good as they were on the road, especially in the beginning of the season when they were healthy, kind of shows that this is a team that can win in the playoffs, right? Obviously their home record not as good, but I just think they've been playing must-win hockey, or not even must-win hockey, but like stay alive hockey for so long without those 2 pieces. And I thought they were a team that was going to eventually fade out and miss, but they just kind of were able to get in, and now they have their pieces back. It's almost like they acquired pieces at the trade deadline, but the trade deadline was like a week ago instead, right? They got 2 massive pieces back, and now they're actually, depth wise, they look fantastic. Their top 3 lines look pretty damn good now. Nyquist being on the 3rd line, now that actually makes sense, the acquisition, whereas he was playing more important minutes only a couple of weeks ago. So the blue line being healthy as well is big. They're gonna give Bouillon a chance to play, which is exciting, obviously, for you guys. And we saw a guy that he's been compared to, Makar, thrive in his first playoff series. So maybe we'll see a little bit of that. But I think this team's live here. Vegas has a lot of pieces that are getting up there in age. And I don't really trust Vegas's goaltending still. You know, Aiden Hill has had his moments, but I don't necessarily think he can steal a series where I think Gus can. So I think this goes 6 or 7. I think that Minnesota can get, potentially get it done. I think there's some value there. I don't think there's any value on Vegas, to be honest with you. If you want to go real value, if you do think Minnesota wins, I don't mind doing like a Vegas win game 1, Minnesota wins the series. That's plus 550. I think there's a lot of value there. But yeah, I think in general, I'm really going to be looking at wild props, wild goal score props, and point props in the first couple of games, especially a guy like Boldy or Rossi, if we're going to get value, just given how much Vegas is going to be favored, at least in these first couple of games as well.
Awesome. Now Rossi is on the third line now with Foligno and Nyquist. So I'm not sure if I personally would want to be looking at Rossi props. Now, what you mentioned, and I didn't mention, is Z Boom, who did not play in the Wild's regular season finale. So a lot of fans like myself were thinking that likely means that he's kind of going to be riding the bench, kind of like Faber did, I think, in his towards the end of the season in his first run. But the Wild have put Z Buem on the top power play. So they are giving him a shot here on the top power play. And if you haven't seen his highlights, he should not have fallen as much as he did in the draft. The Wild got a steal. Everybody that follows prospects was saying how much of a steal the Wild got in Z Boom at that spot. So a young player coming in, injecting some offense into this team. And yes, the Wild are healthy for the first time in forever. So maybe they finally get it done. Obviously, I'm going to be hoping for that, but I've seen this team. I've obviously watched this team. I've seen them lose in the playoffs now, year after year after year. And obviously that does have to change eventually, but I'm not ready to say that this is the year myself.
Don't forget too, like of all the dog teams, especially like at this price range, Kaprizov is the biggest star, I would say, of all those teams, right? Like it's
Caulfield.
I take Kaprizov over Caulfield, I would say, at least at this point. Caulfield has potential maybe to get better, but yeah, I just like this is a true superstar player that could win you a series. That most of those other teams don't have that. The Blues don't have like they have really good players, but like they don't have a Kaprizov. This is a guy that was leading the Hart Trophy race in the beginning of the season, so he's really, it can be a difference maker.
Awesome. Nick, Wild, Vegas Golden Knights. Do you have the same opinion as the Leafs here when you look at the Wild, or do you look at the Wild a little bit differently? What do you think about this series?
Yeah, I'm going to contradict myself on. I know I faded the Leafs because that they were a team that's untrustworthy in the playoffs. I think there's a major difference though between the Minnesota Wild and the Toronto Maple Leafs here. And it's pretty simple. You're getting plus 200 on the Minnesota Wild. You're laying minus 190 with the Maple Leafs. There's no way in hell I'm laying minus 190 with the Maple Leafs in the playoffs. At 2-1, I'll take a shot on Minnesota, though. This team is finally getting healthy in the spot. Now, I also like 4-3 Minnesota. I think this series goes long a little bit here. You were mentioning how how the Minnesota Wild were going to overtime a lot. Now, I couldn't find overtime props. The only thing I was able to find is over on DraftKings for a game this series to go to double overtime at plus 380. Might be worth a sprinkle if we think these two teams can go to overtime. We would need a second overtime for plus 380, but we just need one game to do so. And I think the series goes 7, so we'd have our opportunities to be able to get that. So if you guys want to look at overtime props there, if you can find over 1.5 overtime games in the series or something along those lines, I think that's worth the bet as well. I think Minnesota is definitely I think this plus 200 price tag is a little disrespectful, especially considered the way we saw Minnesota play in the beginning of the season with the full healthy roster. And heading into the season, I was higher on the Wild, on the Golden Knights in general. I was very wrong on the Golden Knights. I hadn't missed the playoffs and under their point total. And I wanted some Wild futures. I was talked off a while. I wanted to take some Wild over futures and point total or playoff futures and things like that. I think the Wild are a team that been around this year and they make a deep run next year. Once the cap hell gets over them here, I think they kind of break the losing streak here this year at 2-1. I think there's value there. I think next year is the year they can make a deeper run into the postseason. But I think this year is just when they get their toes wet with winning a series.
Wow. I don't know what to say. You guys trying to get my hopes up so that they get destroyed later on. I see what you guys are doing. But no. Terry. Hey, Boog. How's it going? Nice to see you. Does anyone suspect Terry is throwing out reverse jinx vibes? Let's go Wild. No, trust me. Hey, I would love to be wrong. If I am wrong with Vegas, I will happily admit that I was wrong. Happily. Leafs in 4, Vegas in 5 or 6. Wild will literally come from behind in one of these games. That is this year's identity, and Adin Hill is merely good enough back there. Caulfield is too small and light, in my opinion, for the Stanley Cup playoffs. No snarl, no bite, no weight. Friendly reminder, the team is willing to covertly butt end their opponents in the jaw are the teams to advance, as long as they have the penalty kill, I'm assuming, power play and goaltending. LOL. All right. We'll move on along to our next series here. Speaking about Caulfield, the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals here in this series. The Capitals not winning the President's Trophy. Obviously, the Winnipeg Jets won it. So the Capitals don't have to worry about the President's Trophy curse. Montreal, luckily they won that final game of the season, kind of like the Wild, because had Montreal and the Wild not won their final games, they both would have missed the playoffs here, with Columbus and Calgary winning their final games by margin. So Montreal, lucky to be here. The Caps, well, we know what Ovechkin did, breaking the record. Do the Caps go on a long run? That's the question. Franco, start with you. Habs, Capitals. What do you think about this series?
I don't think the Habs have enough on the blue line to really compete with this team. This is another team, the Caps, that I don't think is going to be long for the playoffs. I think this is literally the best matchup they could probably get in the first round here. So I think if it was any other team, I'd probably be looking to back the dog here, but I can't with Montreal, just given how bad their blue line is. Now, we need to get Logan Thompson news. That's not clear right now. So if he's out, then I'm not taking any kind of price right now. I don't want to lay the -1.5 at -130. I don't like that at all. So I'm kind of staying away as far as bets go, but I think the Caps take this pretty easily overall. Unless the Thompson is scheduled to miss like more than one game, then obviously then I'll be looking to kind of fade them. But I'm going to be looking at player props mainly in the series, goal props. I think there's going to be goals, especially in this first game if Thompson's out. So look at overs and stuff like that early on in the series. If Protas is in, he's day-to-day. 2 goals in the series for him is +155. I feel like that's a crazy price for him given the season he's had, and he's that type of guy, that playoff guy, right? Big body in front of the net, can score those dirty goals. Maybe Tom Wilson props as well. His 2 goals is -165, so it's a little juice, but game to game, I'd be willing to look at him. So yeah, nothing as far as a bet here on the series. I just don't think there's any value, but let's get that news on Thompson first, and then maybe I'll look at like a Caps -1.5. I just don't think as much magic as the Habs have had this season, I just don't think they have the blue line to compete in the playoffs, especially against the depth that Washington has and the scoring they have.
I pretty much agree with everything you just said, so I don't even have to really give a breakdown. No, I think Logan Thompson, we all saw the season he had, especially earlier on in the season, just winning every game he started, basically. And then Lindgren on the other side was a much more average goaltender. If Thompson comes back, game 1, game 2, maybe later on, we don't know. How is he going to be We haven't seen him play for a while. Is he going to be able to get back to how he was earlier on in the season? Because if he does, Washington wins this series easily in 4 or 5. But if we're having to see Lindgren here against Montembeault for the Habs, then I think the Habs could make this interesting. So I really do think Logan Thompson, his status and how he looks is incredibly important here in this series. Obviously, the Caps big favorites in this series. I want to be laying anything with them. I want to see. I want to see what happens here with Logan Thompson because there is a lot of value with the Habs here. Even the plus 1.5 in the series is plus money. So if you think the Habs can get to Game 7, you can get plus money for that at plus 106. And even if they somehow win before that, you still win. So plus 1.5 in the series would be a lean for me if Logan Thompson is not playing or if he's not his normal self. But I can't bet without knowing that. I think I can't bet on this series without knowing his status. So this series is a pass. Nick, Montreal Canadiens, Washington Capitals. You and I both on the Canadiens season preview show last year predicted they would make the playoffs. We were both a year off, but they did it this year. Do you think they can upset the Capitals, or do you think the Caps win this series?
Yeah, look at this Montreal team. They're kind of interesting, and they kind of check a couple boxes for me that I kind of look for dogs in the first round. They've been fighting through the last game of the regular season, so they were a team that have been playing playoff hockey for months now. The Capitals, maybe not as much. Maybe they're coasting a little bit into the playoffs. They also have a couple marks when it comes to injuries. Really speaking, this Montreal Canadiens is healthy other than Kirby Dach and David Reinbacher, which they have not had all year long. So basically, this has been the same Canadiens roster basically that they've had since the beginning. And plus, we saw they granted it was against the Blackhawks, but their young gun looked pretty good there. Demidov looked pretty good. Granted, it was against the Blackhawks, but and then an AHL version of the Carolina Hurricanes. But I got on DraftKings this morning plus 260. Give me the Habitons in this one here. I like the Canadiens to pull off an upset. And you were saying maybe if they can make it to Game 7, you can get the plus 1.5. Fuck that. I want 4-2 for the Montreal Canadiens, 8-1. I think this is a vulnerable number 1 seed in the Washington Capitals that has way too many question marks to be laying this type of number against a Montreal Canadiens team. Another thing I like, they have nothing to lose in this series. They weren't supposed to be here. They finished last in the Atlantic Division last year. Let's not forget that. This was a team that finished last in the Atlantic Division last year and made the playoffs this year. So they have nothing to lose, everything to gain, and they are a dangerous team that's young and dumb, that doesn't know any better, that may fuck around and find out and win this series. So, yes, I took a shot here. I think this is the big underdog of the round one. Montreal Canadiens plus 260. It's about damn time we have a round one of chaos. And I think the last was back in 2019 when the Blues won the Cup, where we had 8 seeds winning. We had big dogs. We had Tampa Bay falling in the first round, things along those lines. And I think this year is very similar. We're seeing a lot of parity in the NHL, and it's priced. Only 3 teams are minus 200 or higher out of the 8 matchups. We see a lot of close pick'ems, especially with division winners and wild cards and stuff like that. I think that's telling us there could be some upsets this year. I think Montreal is the biggest one.
All right. Interesting. I do think Demidov is going to have a good series. I don't know, Franco, if you've looked at his props. I don't even know if his series props are probably available being a rookie, but he's going to want to do well against Ovechkin. Obviously, Russian to Russian. He's going to want to have a good series against Ovi. So that is definitely something I might look at some point. I think the young and inexperienced kids on all the teams don't know how to punch in the teeth. All right. Rangers in 7. Sad face. Boog. Montreal upset. No Rangers in 7. Sorry. Montreal upset. All right. Montreal kids are going to be nervous and puckered. Love both of these teams, but they're inexperienced. Playing without expectation, though. That's true. For what
That's
it's worth, a
dangerous.
Montreal upset would be amazing for hockey.
Absolutely would.
Yeah, I agree with that. That'd be
All
fun.
right. Yeah. We'll move on to we've got 2 more series left. And we'll start here with this one, Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings here in this one. And we've never seen these teams play before, so we obviously have no record on how they do against each other in the playoffs because we've never seen these teams play before. Wrong. We see these teams play all the time in the playoffs. What is it, 4 years in a row? I'm not sure, but there we go. The Oilers have really struggled. Sorry, the Kings have really struggled with this Oilers team in the playoffs. And now here they are in this series. We are starting with Nick first in this one. Nick, Oilers, Kings. The Oilers have dominated the Kings for years now. Do they keep on going, or do the Kings finally find a way to beat a very beat up Edmonton Oilers team in the playoffs? What do you think about this series?
I grabbed the Oilers at -120. I think that the difference between this series going 5 games and 7 games was whether or not the Kings got home ice or not. I still think that this is a bad stylistical matchup for the Kings, and I've noticed they seem to be the trendy dog pick in the first round. Like I've seen a lot of people on the Kings, and I think that's going to really benefit people like me who want to back the Oilers in the first round, where I'm starting to see even lines of like -125, -120 on the Oilers here, where in years past they were -200 favorites. I remember having to lay -1s in the playoffs with the Oilers last year. This is a totally different, like this is a much more affordable number for the Oilers who have just, and I'm going to take a shot here with -120 on the Oilers. I think it's a great price here. Yes, injuries are a concern. It looks like Ekholm will probably not be available for this series. And Jake Wallman might be out a game or two. This could be a series where if you're looking at an interesting series future, the Kings are so good at home. Why not take the Kings to win game 1 and the Oilers to win the series? Like I think that we can see something along those lines where the Kings jump out early on the Oilers, but then the Oilers kind of like bounce back and put them in their place and they win. And I like 4-3 Edmonton. I think if Edmonton wins a game in LA, the series is over because of just how big of a home road dichotomy the Kings are. If the Oilers steal one game at crypto.com, done. So I'm on the Oilers at plus one or -120. And then I'll probably sprinkle something on Oilers 4-3 at plus 470.
Interesting. All right. Franco, we'll go to you second in this one. Oilers, Kings. What do you think about this series?
I agree with Nick here. So I can't take the Kings. I don't trust the Kings. I don't trust Darcy Kemper. I know Skinner's, sketchy as well, but he at least has that experience from last year. I feel like he played pretty well overall in the playoffs for them. Obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl are back now, ready to go. I think they probably could have come back sooner, both of them, than they did, and really got like a break. And they've had long playoff runs the last couple seasons too, so that it's kind of nice to come in ready to go with a nice rest before you get to face this team that you've had to face 4 straight seasons, obviously. And as much as we have knocked Edmonton for their depth historically coming into this into the playoffs, it doesn't look that bad right now with those guys back. And I know there's a little bit of question marks there, and losing the guys they lost like Holloway and Broberg and Fogel, who's playing on the other side here, I think they would probably rather have all those guys than what they have now. But still, I think there's guys here that can get it done for them. And like you said, I think the value here is on Edmonton at if you get -120, that's even better than the -132 you're showing here. So, yeah, I like Edmonton here. All I need to do is win one in LA, and I think we'll be good. So. I will be targeting Arvidsson shot props throughout this series. He's been fantastic against his former team. And Fogel props on the Kings side. Both these guys have played well so far in these head-to-heads, in their revenge narrative here. So I'm going to be looking at those like game to game here. But yeah, give me the Oilers to take the series and move on. I think they're going to be a strong team when it really comes down to it in the West.
All right. My thoughts here, I'm going to be betting probably both of these teams. I'm going to be betting the Kings in this series. I'm going to be betting the Oilers in this series. The Oilers, despite their injuries, winning 4 of their last 5 heading into the playoffs. Their only loss was to this LA Kings team. LA on the other side lost their final game against Calgary, but had been winning previous and scoring goals. 6, 5, 5, 6 in their previous 4 games before that final game. I'm going to be looking at the Kings when they're at home in this series, looking to back them then. And then I think if you like the Oilers, I think you wait till bet them to win the series after game 1. I think the Kings win game 1 at home, and then you're going to get a much, much better price, obviously, on the Oilers after that. So if you like Edmonton, I would look at them after game 1. If you like the Kings, well, you should take them now, plus money. But just the history here between these two teams, it's been Edmonton. Obviously, last year 4-1, 4-2 the previous year, and then 4-3 the previous year. So can the Oilers knock out the Kings 4 years in a row? We're going to see. We are going to see. But yeah, I want to
also for the one prop there. I looked it up. It's plus 320. Kings to win game 1, Oilers to win the series. Plus 320 on DraftKings.
I like that.
All right, beautiful. What is wrong with the Kings power play? They need a power play that can cash reliably in this tournament. Canadians will play nerves like when they played my Blackhawks. Caps win series 4-1. All right. Nick, Oilers missing Ekholm doesn't move you off the oil?
It does make me a little bit more concerned. It does, but it's not enough for me to not bet them at this number. I think it's baked into the line at minus 120.
Don't forget, too, Evander Kane is likely coming back for the series, too. And I know he hasn't played all year, but that's still a pretty big piece. It's a pretty significant piece, especially with his history in the playoffs and the physicality he brings. I think that's a big thing to add in here.
I think he would probably help a lot towards the end of the series. It's probably going to be a bit rusty in the first couple of games, but if the series goes deep, then I think he'll be a huge addition for the end of the series. For the Kings to win, they need Fiala and Byfield to play huge roles. I can agree with that. Kings win series in 7. All right. I'll back Kemper over Skinner and Kings D over Edmonton D, but the power play penalty kill advantage goes to the Oil. So, yeah, this could be a close series. I think. Either team at 4-3, you're getting plus 460. I think there's value there for this series to go 7. But we're now at the final playoff series of the 2025 playoffs, and it's the Battle of Florida. It just so happens to be the closest series when it comes to odds, when it comes to pricing. Florida minus 118. Series favorites, the Tampa Bay Lightning minus 102 here in this one in the Battle of Florida. And one thing I did want to mention there about going back to last series, the Kings 3-1 against the Oilers this year. They played very well against the Oilers this year, so keep that in mind. But back to this series, I think this series is priced correctly. I think this is a toss-up. I don't want to just say bet both 4-3s just because, but I do think this is going to be a back-and-forth series. I think you're going to potentially be able to get both teams at plus money to win the series if you play your cards right here. If it goes back and forth like I think it will. but I don't know. Tampa Bay Lightning made a lot of additions at the trade deadline. It sounds like Matthew Tkachuk will be coming back, which is huge. This Florida Panthers team, they've shown what they can do in the playoffs in recent years. This one is incredibly tough, and I can't predict who wins this series. I think this is one of the ones that I think it's a coin flip. Potentially, I think we could get Game 7 overtime. That's how close this could be. I think it could come down to one goal in this series. Nick, we'll go to you second this time. I believe that's the order. I might have mixed it up, but Battle of Florida, Panthers, Lightning. What do you think here?
Yeah, I have the Lightning making it out of the East and reaching the Stanley Cup. And I think the biggest team I'm the most afraid of in the Eastern Conference for my Tampa Bay Futures is this Florida team. And I do have the Lightning to win this series. I got it plus 105 on Fanatics. So I found a decent line there over on Fanatics Sportsbook there for the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the series. And this was a Florida Panthers team that I know both you and I were both on futures on them last year. I got 10-1. I think you got 10-1 as well. We wrote them throughout the playoffs. I bet them basically every single round. I think this is not their. I think that there is a goaltending advantage on the side of Tampa Bay. They finally had a couple years where they weren't playing into June, which I think is going to help them potentially make a long run this year. And we've had the Florida Panthers have played the most amount of hockey games the last 2 seasons. And I think that it could catch up to them here in this spot. Now, could it be very similar to what Tampa Bay did, where they lost in the Cup final in that third year after winning the Cup 2 straight years? Maybe. But right now, you give me home ice advantage at a pick'em number. I got plus money on it. I think Tampa's the better team at the moment. Now, can Florida? I think whoever wins this series can represent the East, very similar to that Colorado-Dallas series, where I think whoever wins that series can represent the West. Because I think both those 2 first-round matchups could be Eastern and Western Conference Finals matchups. Like, I think that those 2 teams are that much higher above most of the teams in the field. So this is a very big series. I'll take the dog here in this spot. I'm on Tampa Bay, and I have them, I believe it's 7-1 to win the East, 14-1 to win the Cup, along with Colorado on the other side on this Lightning team. And I think the job done here in this spot at a slight dog price.
Awesome. Franco, final series of the playoffs here in the first round, the Battle of Florida. What do you think about this one?
I'm going to lean Florida here. I get the argument. You could go either way. This is about as big of a toss-up as it gets. I think if Dallas was healthy, then that series would be kind of spoken in the same breath as this one. But I think we go 7 games here pretty much no matter what. Both teams have been dominant at home, so they'll get their home wins. I guess it depends on which team you think can, if one of these teams can win a road game. So I like the 6 games and 7 games prop. Each of them are plus 200. So take each of them, you win a unit guaranteed as long as it gets to 6. So I'm going to do that again here. But yeah, I lean Florida, and they're my favorite team to make it to the Cup. Kind of in the same what you're saying with Tampa. Like if you like them, I think they probably have a shot to me. I feel like this is, like you said, these are the 2 teams that are going to get there. The East feels to me a lot weaker than the West does. I feel like the West is just going to be beaten up. So I think if you like one of these 2 teams, like I think you grab them to win the Cup as well, because I think whatever team they're going to face in the West is going to be just 7-game series after 7-game series, or just beat up to hell by the time they get there. So, but yeah, I lean Florida here. I think getting Tkachuk back is massive. Bjorkstrand is going to miss for Tampa. He's week to week, which feels like a pretty big loss to their depth, which felt a lot better, a week ago before that news. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be a hell of a series. This is going to be must watch. I feel like you can take either of the home teams in each of the games if you want to just go game by game and just do that. But yeah, this should be a hell of a series. It should be fun. I like these games to potentially go to overtime as well. So I might be looking at draws as well. Both goaltenders are fantastic in the playoffs too. So like you can't make an argument either way. I think for one to be better than the other. Like I think a lot of people will lean Vasilevsky, but Bobrovsky has proven it over the last couple of seasons too. So Yeah, give me this to go 6 and 7 it would be my main bet, and then Florida to win it. And let's enjoy this series because it's going to be a hell of a matchup.
I totally agree, and I completely agree about the draws. To be looking at the draws, obviously it's priced the way it's priced, but it's just these two teams, obviously division rivals, just so evenly matched that I think we're going to get a ton of overtime here in this series. But before I finish off the show, quickly jump into, as long as we're not relying on Trent Frederick to be a difference maker, says Tommy. Jay Stone, how's it going? Nice to see you. That was a jab at Stan Bonehead Man. All right. Nick, tell people where they can find you, and if you have a Stanley Cup winner or any other futures you haven't given out that you want to give out, now is your chance.
Yeah, live every single morning on my YouTube channel, Earl Sports Bets. I do the Earl Sports Bet show every single day. We cover baseball, we cover basketball, we cover hockey, we cover football, all that fun stuff. So that's live every single day. For the Stanley Cup, I'm going to say Colorado over Tampa Bay in 6 games.
All right. Franco, same questions. Where can people find you? And who do you think wins the Cup?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Franco the Banker, and I also do a show called Expected Bets 4. We do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and then we do a Tuesday and Thursday, kind of like a short show. So yeah, you can find me there. And thanks for bearing with me today, guys. I'm on dad duty, so sorry about them cutting in. That's all I was trying to talk. So appreciate that. But yeah, I think I have Florida winning. As far as the West, I mean, I really want it to be Florida Dallas, but I think given the situation in Dallas, that kind of puts a damper on it for me there. So I guess I'll go Florida and the Oilers. Let's run it back, I guess, and Florida to take it.
Boo! We don't want the same
boring. Boo. I know.
Tomato.
But no, I can't. I don't know who to pick. I asked you guys the question, and I can't even answer it myself.
My bad. The Minnesota Wild are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Minnesota versus Ottawa. Imagine that.
Hey,
nobody would have expected
that. Would be fun.
That at all.
But no, I don't have any Cup futures this year. I think it's kind of wide open. I think whoever wins Colorado Dallas definitely has a good shot. If Hellebuck plays the way he does in the regular season, then Winnipeg could definitely make a run. I don't believe in Carolina or New Jersey. I don't believe in Toronto. Ottawa, while they might be able to upset the Leafs in round 1, I don't see them going on a long run to the Cup. Vegas and the Wild. Vegas is interesting. I kind of want to see how they play. And I don't know who wins the Florida-Tampa series, so I'm sorry, guys. I know I should have something, but I think it's such a toss-up. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say Vegas against Tampa Bay. I think it would be Vegas against Tampa Bay, but that's just my thought. But thank you for watching. Make sure to go give both guys a follow. When it comes to content on this channel, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I can't commit to daily shows, but we'll see if I can get some content here on the YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Best of luck in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Everyone enjoy the playoffs because we've got a lot of great hockey to watch coming up starting tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys, and